Welcome to Future Consideration, SB Nation's NFL Draft Show. That's Dan Rubenstein. He's a college football guy.
That's Matt Ufford. He heads up our NFL coverage.
Guilty as charged. Let's talk about this week's mock draft from Mucking the Draft.
Yes, number one overall. We'll start with the top five. The Texans, Blake Bortles. Thoughts? Still there. He's been there for a little while.
I feel like this is a result of his excellent pro day, and I hate overweighing the pro days because it's a guy throwing against air without helmet or pads.
Right.
Still think that Teddy Bridgewater is the most talented quarterback in this class.
Fair enough. I trust Bill O'Brien to figure out the quarterback that's right for him. Number two, we have Clowney to St. Louis. I think he's both of our number one players in this draft.
Yes. However, the appropriate grammar is there, I don't know. But yes, Clowney's good.
Clowney inside in St. Louis, wreaking havoc. Jacksonville, Bridgewater, both of our number one quarterback.
Love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's a huge position of need, and we're going to get into the AFC South shortly and talk more about it.
Yes.
But
Sammy Watkins at number 4 to the Browns.
Hate it.
Nope.
He could be the fourth best player in this draft.
Absolutely. Really fantastic player. Going to be a great playmaker.
But for the Browns, receiver not the biggest need in the world. I understand he's dynamic and maybe a once in every 4 or 5 year receiver.
With Josh Gordon, fantastic, scary, but no.
No, I think Watkins can go a little bit further. I just don't love receivers that high. Oakland, Khalil Mack.
Great player.
Yeah.
Going to be a great pass rusher in the NFL.
Build that defense up.
I don't know if the Raiders can avoid if Johnny Manziel is there at number 5, especially given his fantastic pro day that was in helmet and pads.
Yes.
I think that the Raiders are too weak. They will have to take Johnny Manziel. If he's there.
I love them taking Khalil Mack here, though, if they can.
Absolutely.
Let's skip around a little bit here. Yep. Buffalo and Mike Evans, who actually may have impressed a little bit even more than Johnny Manziel at that pro day. People love him.
I think Mike Evans is going to be a fantastic NFL wide receiver. I don't see the Bills, who already have Stevie Johnson, who just spent 2 top draft picks last year on Marquise Goodwin and Robert Woods.
Yeah, of course.
That's a confusing pick to me.
There are more needs that the Bills have, especially up front on offense. The Steelers, speaking of which, Taylor Lewan, the tackle from Michigan, physical guy. Steelers have a huge need at left tackle.
Great pick. He's one of the best tackles in the draft. I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah,
it's a
Big
really
Ben not
one.
getting younger.
Nope.
Protect him. I like that pick a lot. Arizona at Darqueze Nard. I don't think I like this pick. Corner, secondary, not a huge need
This
for the
is
Cards.
a head scratcher. They just signed Antonio Cromartie. They've got Patrick Peterson, one of the best corners of the game, and they've got Tyrann Mathieu, who can slide into the nickel. Not a need for them at all. Certainly not a first-round pick.
Right, and Denard, though, I think we agree, top 20, top 25,
Absolutely.
worthy pick.
Yeah.
Arizona doesn't feel like the spot.
Not a good fit there.
Derek Carr, who has been coming on of late. I mean, you watch his tape, you're not a huge fan of the types of throws he made in college. Doesn't necessarily mean he can't make pro throws.
No.
But Cleveland, doesn't it feel like Cleveland going for a quarterback nobody totally loves late in the first round? We've been here like 3, 4, 5 times before.
We hated Brandon Weeden and Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
Let's try it with Derek Carr.
He feels like a natural progression. Denver and Ryan Shazier, not a huge position of need for the Broncos.
They've got Danny Trevathan and Von Miller as outside linebackers. It would make so much more sense to take a middle linebacker, although not.
The value, I don't think, is there after C.J. Mosley. If they can grab a guard, say an Xavier Su'a-Filo, Zach Martin, someone in there.
Plug the hole left by Zane Beadles. That would make a lot more sense than an outside linebacker.
Peyton Manning's probable last season. And finally, your Seattle Seahawks.
Woo!
We see the little guys over there.
Morgan Moses of Virginia. I don't know a ton about him, but I know that right tackle's a position of need for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Of course, Breno Giacomini left to the Jets in free agency. Great pick.
Yeah, big guy, and his strength is pass protection, so that's the big need there.
That is our review of Mocking the Draft's mock draft this week. Let us know your thoughts, whether you disagree or maybe even agree.
Agree.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Best safeties in this year's draft.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Who's your number 1?
It's shifted around a little bit for me the more I've seen of these guys. Calvin Pryor, the Louisville safety, is so good all over the field. Fast, aggressive, really good in coverage, pretty complete.
Everything I've seen on his tape makes me think Earl Thomas or Troy Polamalu, the way
that high,
flies,
wow. Yeah,
he flies
that
into
quality
the picture.
that he has, absolutely.
Just like materializes out of nowhere, great recognition of plays, just shows up to be at the ball.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Can get a little bit aggressive, but that's okay. We like that.
And of course, 2 would be then Clinton-dix.
Yes. A seasoned guy, I mean, he comes out early, but he plays under Nick Saban. He has the track record of playing in that system. Very good athlete, decent against the run, but is sort of a complete safety. Has things to work on being a more complete, I guess, center field type. But his ability to get around the field is very impressive. He's just a nice, heady guy that will sort of anchor a defensive backfield for years.
Sure. What about number 3? This is where my knowledge drops off.
There's a drop off a little bit. Jimmy Ward is just, the quickness is ridiculous. He makes the field look small. He's all over the place, not afraid to come up and hit somebody that's running straight at him. All that said, a little bit small, and he is aggressive against the run, does tackle well, but he can get sort of tangled up in offensive linemen and blockers, so got to be able to work on his ability to shed.
Defensive leader on one of the MAC teams that actually plays defense.
Yes, absolutely. Go Northern Illinois. Number 4. There it is.
Jinx.
Yeah. LaMarcus Joyner. We can't do the whole thing as a jinx, but LaMarcus Joyner is very, very good and a bit of a tweener. So could be a corner, like a nickelback type, could come in as a safety, is versatile enough, so that does make him attractive. A little shorter, but long arms, can jump. Very, very smart, sort of a natural leader, somebody you want on the field at all times, just coordinate your defense. And the quickness is a question, and I mentioned sort of a natural nickel safety type. He can get beat by quick guys.
And closing out the top 5, a big hitter, someone that fans can get excited about, Deion Buchanan from Wazoo.
Yeah, certainly a huge hitter, but more. Can be very, very productive. Led the Pac-12 in tackles this past year. Certainly loves knocking people down. Can be a little bit over-aggressive. Fundamentally, he should be a little bit more careful, but yes, he is going to scare the living bejesus out of people.
Got good size. If you like Cam Chancellor in the Super Bowl, you might want to get that's the kind of upside we're looking at here,
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, so there's our top 5 safeties. Let us know if we forgot anybody in your top 5. These guys can hit. This is a good class.
Yeah. Moving on, let's talk team needs for the AFC South. Let's kick things off with the last division champion, the
Indianapolis Colts.
The Clots, yes.
The Clots. Is that what people say?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, hashtag Clots.
So what is a concern for you?
For me, what jumps out is offensive guard. Trent Richardson, of course, has looked tentative behind the line. He's looked crappy. But part of that is because holes aren't developing, and that's from the interior line. Their projected starters are Hugh Thornton, who struggled as a rookie, and Donald Thomas, who's coming off a season-ending injury, torn quad.
Yeah.
They can use an infusion of talent there.
Yes.
I'd like to see a talented guard early in the draft. And, of course, strong safety. They lost Antoine Bethea in free agency. Those are the 2 biggest needs for them. Obviously, they're set at quarterback for a long time.
Sure.
Pretty good defensive line as well, but those are the 2 big holes.
Yeah, and not a terrible worry on either side, but especially with, you have Jacksonville, you have Houston rebuilding, so they can take a little bit of time. But I think they're going to be good at those spots sooner rather than later.
They want to be a running team. They're going to need to build up that line a bit.
Yes. All right, next team up, the Titans of Tennessee. A lot of people feel probably better than what they've shown.
Yeah, they're kind of a mediocre team that was led by a very good defense last year. They lost Altron Werner in free agency.
Lockdown, yeah.
Jason McCourty's going to do well on one side, but they could use a cornerback opposite him.
Yep.
Also, transitioning to the 3-4, they need some outside linebackers. Akeem Ayers has one side locked down, but Cameron Windley's been a disappointment. Zach Brown struggled a little bit.
His band is great, though.
His band is great. Fantastic musician. Maybe should focus on football a bit more. But
you'd like to see that.
Yeah, and of course, running back, assuming Chris Johnson leaves, you're not going to get by with a Sean Green, Jackie Battle.
Right, there's value always in 3rd, 4th, 5th round. They'll be fine there. And Jacksonville.
The Jaguars.
Everything.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, we don't need to focus on quarterback too much.
Right.
Chad Henne, probably not the guy to lead you to championship.
No.
Ricky Stanzi, immensely talented, just needs a chance.
Very patriotic.
So let's focus on the offensive line. They gave up 50 sacks last year, 2nd worst in the NFL. The left side's going to be okay. They've got Luke Jokel, last year's top pick.
Right.
And they got Zane Beadles in free agency. They now have 2/5 of a line. They need to get the center and all the entire right side.
Build that wall for whoever is that quarterback next year.
Exactly. And, of course, let's see. Cornerback was a weakness on defense. Outside linebacker. Wide
there are
receiver,
a lot of places. But that defense isn't terrible. It showed signs a lot.
And with Gus Bradley, that defensive-minded coach from the Seattle Seahawks, there's promise there.
They're going to be all right. Let's round it out. Houston, help everywhere as well, almost.
Well, I don't want to say everywhere because this was a playoff team until injuries and utter collapse last year. Matt Schaub obviously going to the Raiders. They need a quarterback, and that seems to be the obvious hole at the beginning of the draft. But they could use some help at offensive line, particularly left guard and right tackle. Derek Newton was a turnstile at right tackle last year. They could use an upgrade there.
No, obviously the offensive talent outside of quarterback there.
Yes.
And Andre Johnson, Nuke Hopkins, Aaron Foster.
Let's talk about defensive line. People see it as a strength because of J.J. Watt being one of the best defensive players in the game.
The man's on an island.
Only have 5 defensive linemen on that roster right now. And of those not named J.J. Watt, they have 3 NFL starts among them.
This many. 3.
That is not a lot of starts for 4 players to have.
Doesn't feel right.
Those are your AFC South team needs, and that was this week's episode of Future Consideration. Once again, that's Dan. He knows college football.
That's Matt. He's our NFL guy.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye. All right, this week, let's do weird mock draft sitcom wives.
Ooh.
That's a lot to choose from.
Number 1 overall for me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Claire Huxtable, Cosby Show.
Strong presence.
Just a classy lady, really funny. didn't let Bill Cosby get away with anything.
You're married to Claire. Life is all right.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm going to go an aunt and a wife on the show. So not the main wife, but Aunt Becky. Full House.
Well, there was no main wife because she died.
Yeah. So that's what I think she was the main wife if there was one.
Yeah, Lori Loughlin still looks fantastic today.
Real great.
Really kept it together.
Number 3.
Number 3, Marge Simpson. This is a steal,
I was
by the
going
way.
to say.
She's been getting it done for 2 decades.
Yeah, looks great.
Love it when her hair's down. She should wear it down more often.
Very lovely with the hair down.
Who's you got? Who do you have it for? I'm trying to speak.
I'm going to go Peg Bundy.
Peg?
Hit me right at a formative time.
Yeah, she...
Those are real tight pants.
Man. And Al Bundy has done pretty well for himself with sitcom wives.
Ooh.
Gloria Delgado-Pritchett is up there for me, but she's going to get edged out by Claire Dunphy, Julie Bowen.
Tight. Tight. I'm never going to do this again, but tight.
There you go.
That's a good top 5.
That's a good one.